This is crack, rock cocaine. It isn't glamorous or cool or kid stuff. It's the most addictive kind of cocaine, and it can kill you. What's really bad is nobody knows how much it takes. So every time you use it, you risk dying. It isn't worth it. Look, everybody wants to be cool, but doing it with crack isn't just wrong. It could be dead wrong.
Hey all, welcome back. Thank you for stopping in. Before we get into tonight's segment, I just wanted to give everyone a huge heartfelt thank you. Thank you once again for your likes, your shares, and of course, your subscriptions. It's greatly appreciated. I also wanted to remind you all that yes, I am an Amazon affiliate now. And what that means is in the bios of these segments, I'll be leaving links to products that I use daily, such as maybe the camera, the microphone, or even these lights being used in this segment. Say you click on one of those links and you make a purchase. What happens is Amazon will actually give me a small percentage of that buy. If there's nothing on the list that's out there that you're just not interested in, but you still use one of my links to actually continue to browse on Amazon and buy something else, something that you would use daily, like some paper towel or a set of steak knives, believe it or not, I would still get a few pennies of that purchase. It's a wonderful thing. It's the first step on getting this channel monetized. And we need your help. And how you help is actually making sure that you're liking, sharing, and subscribing. We have to get our subscription numbers up, and we have to get our viewing numbers up as well. YouTube has actually done us a favor and dropped the ceiling for subscriptions and viewing hours. So we need to push this out. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Even if you're hate watching, it is appreciated. We got to get the viewing hours up and those subs up. But anyway, I'm going to leave it on that. We're going to get into this tonight's segment. And trust me, folks, it's a fun one. It's a doozy. And I'm sure you guys have probably heard a little bit about it. All right, let's get into it. I love yous. Talk to you soon. Pee Wee Herman. You got to appreciate the 80s PSAs. I mean, it was a great campaign back then. Just Say No. A campaign actually founded by Nancy Reagan to make families aware of the dangers of drug use. Some of the best anti-drug commercials came out of the 80s. One of my personal favorite was the This Is Your Brain and This Is Your Brain on Drugs commercial, where they had the frying pan and the egg, and they put the egg in there and it's frying up and they're telling you that's your brain because you're doing drugs. You got to love them. I mean, by today's standards, they're pretty corny. But hey, they were effective back then. I mean, because who was I? Who was I to say no to, the mom of our nation? Good old Nancy Reagan. She said, just say no. And I did that. Never any drugs. Never followed any of that stuff. Completely kept it out of my life. Now, the reason why I'm using that as to start this segment is I want to have a little bit of fun with it, because this is actually an extremely serious issue. With them finding the bag of white powder at the White House, it's, in a way, it's terrifying. And that is why they dispatched the hazmat unit to investigate this substance. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, global and domestic terrorists would actually use our postal service to send attacks through the mail. They would place a white powdery substance in envelopes and send them to politicians or just individuals they didn't like, who they wanted to hurt. And what that white powdery substance was called anthrax. And you're probably thinking, well, anthrax, isn't that like some sort of cattle disease or livestock disease? Well, yes, it is. And how they get it is through contaminated soil or feed or their environment that they're in. Now, you're thinking, well, if it's a disease for cattle, how does it transmit to humans? Well, our wonderful government decided to actually take that disease because it was harmful to humans and decided to make a weapon out of it at some point and put it in powder form. And, what could possibly go wrong, right? I mean, can't think of anything else that may have been created in a lab recently that may have affected the global population. But anyway, I ain't saying anything that there's conspiracy or anything like that out there, but who knows? But I'm sure nothing could go wrong. So on many occasions, this white powder would actually get sent to these individuals. And there were many times where they were fatal or someone was actually near death from actually getting this disease. It's exceptionally fatal to humans. Now, that is why that hazmat was actually dispatched to the White House. In a way, it not being anthrax or any other chemical agent that could harm us is good. But the problem is of what it was found. It was actually found to be cocaine. Now, we're going to actually go through something today. My thing is, how come they can't figure out who it belongs to? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. I think they're lying to you. I think the media is lying to you. And we're going to go over all of it. Because we're actually going to decide, we're going to book a reservation to go on the tour of the White House. Now, just so you guys know, as always, I am going to have all the links in the bio to everything that I'm using today. So any CDC information we discuss, like the anthrax, I will have that link in the bio as well, so you can actually read up on anthrax yourself. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to check out what do we need to do in order to go on a tour of the White House. First of all, step 1, contact your local congressperson. You have to advise them within at least 21 days that you want to go visit the White House and go on a tour. Okay, no big deal. Fine. We'll let our congressperson know 21 days ahead of time. Now, if we're going to travel to the White House, they're probably going to have, they'll probably have some sort of security, right? Well, the White House being the most secure building on the face of the planet. I mean, when you see news reports of, the camera shots outside of the White House, you can see the Secret Service agents walking back and forth along the roof. You know what else they have at the White House? They have surface-to-air missiles in case of air attacks. The fence itself in certain sections are electrified. There are surveillance cameras everywhere on that property. So just so you know. Now, let us actually go through security. Okay, there are multiple security checkpoints before you enter the building. The first checkpoint is the name check, where you will show your photo ID, and the Secret Service will check your name off a reservation list. So there is a list. Then you'll stand in line. You'll have your photo taken. Okay, so we got to have our identification. We got to make sure we're on a list of visitors. And then even when we get there and they check us off that visitor list, they're going to take a photo of it, of us. Now then, we'll have to go through secondary security. Well, what's secondary security? Well, they have a airport-style TSA metal detector to make sure that you have no weapons. No weapons on you whatsoever. You can't take a weapon into the White House because the president might be there. So nothing sharp, nothing pointed, nothing with any metal tips. And that'll take you about 30 minutes or so. Now, I want you to understand something. They're saying airport-style metal detector. Now, they're also going to tell you that if you're going through an airport style, like, you go through your terminal and you have to put your little bag on the conveyor and they can scan that bag. They can see a bottle of water. They can see things in your wallet or your purse, like a little fanny pack or something. And they know exactly what's in it. They can see it. They scan your personal effects. Now, you're going to tell me that this here, just a straight metal detector in the most secure building on the face of the planet, is only going to use a metal detector. That is a lie. They use the same technology the TSA uses for body scanning. Body scanning is basically what you go through a TSA checkpoint. Not only can they see what you are carrying, they can identify bags, substances that cannot be permitted. Like, we'll just say like a little bag of powder. If you were to have a little bag of something like that, that wouldn't get through security. It'd be spotted. You'd be asked to turn it over and it'd be examined. That is what would happen. Now, when we look at the list of prohibited items that are allowed into the White House, you would think it's pretty much the same thing as going on an airplane. Can't take any aerosols, ammunition, bags of any kind. Cameras with detachable lenses. You can't even take a smartphone in there, actually. No recording devices. Can't be done. Those devices have to be left in a locker, off premises. You can take a small instant camera. That's it. No food, guns, knives of any kind, lighters, liquids, mace, martial arts weapons, monopods, signs, strollers. See, you can't even take a stroller into the White House during a tour. Video cameras, weapons, devices, any pointed object, any other item determined potentially safety as a safety hazard. There are your list of permitted items. So you're going to tell me you're going to go through a body scan and, with all of this checklist, with all of these Secret Service agents checking security, everyone going inside that building, you're going to tell me that none of them were able to detect this on the cameras. And what's interesting, when you go on this tour, not only are you going through, they say it's unguided, but at each room of that White House where the tour goes, there is a Secret Service agent on station in that room to answer any questions. Also, each one of those rooms has surveillance cameras. They know exactly where that bag came from, if it was from someone on a tour. You're going to tell me the White House isn't using these body scanners? The most secure building in the United States, if not the world? These things can see everything. The media is lying to you. There's Secret Service in every single one of those rooms to make sure that the tourists do not go where they're not permitted and to answer various questions about that room. They have the luggage scanners as you go in. And if that bag of cocaine was in one of those bags or in somebody's pocket, it was seen. Even if it was in a pants pocket, a shirt pocket, they're going to see that bag in there. And what are they going to do? They're actually going to take it. They're going to examine it. They knew it was there. If it was from anyone outside of the White House, that was a tourist. Logic speaking, it was not a tourist, because there is no way it would have got past security. That bag, in my opinion, belongs to someone who is actually on site, who is employed in the White House. That is where that came from. It's the only logical explanation. You can listen to the news and they can give you a whole bunch of stories and they're going to blow smoke up your butt. It's just amazing. I mean, we all know, yeah, Hunter has some problems. Yeah, he visited there prior to this even being found. Yeah, it was a tour of the West Ring. There's no proof that it was his. You can't blame him. You can't make fun of him. Can't make fun of, good old Joe. He doesn't know. It had to be an employee. It had to be someone on staff. Wouldn't be surprised. It might even have been one of the Secret Service agents. And it just goes to show us there is a different tiered justice system for us. You have a commoner out on the street today, locally. We'll just say just a local person wherever you're at. It's like, I'll do a couple bumps here on the weekend. What's the harm? He gets busted by a cop. What happens? He goes to jail. Who knows for how long? For possession. You got people in prison now that have probably carried less than what they found there, that have been in there for years. But what's going to happen? We're going to find out. They're going to try and blame some tourist that wasn't even there. They're going to say, we made an arrest. Bull crap. Because they can't have it come back on them and say that it was an actual staffer or an employee that is actually inside the White House. Because who does it make look bad? Our policymakers. And that right there just goes to show you the different tier of justice system we actually have. There's the elites who will not get prosecuted for their crimes. Then there's just the average person who tries to get by, does the best they can. And then there's the other ones that are the I don't cares. It doesn't matter. The one they're going to catch the blame, wherever they're at. Wrong place at the wrong time. Nothing's going to happen. Another couple days, it'll be forgotten about. It'll be swept under the rug, literally. And you won't hear anything else about it. Someone may ask a question, but what they're going to tell you is that, yeah, we identified the perpetrator. They were on a tour, and we are going to make an arrest. Bull. Because personally, I've already figured out who the culprit was. I have. And I'll leave that at the end of the segment. I'll talk to you guys soon. Remember, vote angry, and God save the Queen.